She literally wrote an article
I'm
about
sorry.
another woman's trauma.
What the actual fuck, Glamour Magazine? Well, everybody, we are back from vacation. Lauren, though, is still in her bathrobe, so clearly you're still kind of in vacation mode. What's going on there?
Chandler, thank you so much for asking. I was getting ready for this podcast today, and I just realized that there are days where I don't want to have to put on an outfit to record with you. I don't want to have to do my hair. I don't want to do glam. I just want to throw on some, under eye concealer and some chapstick and hop on to record. And so I need to normalize the bathrobe.
Well, you look beautiful. I felt a similar way this morning. I was like, the last thing I want to do right now is put on an outfit. Like, disgusting. Right. Like, I put on gym clothes because I need to go move my body. So yeah, I also just have a little bit of under eye concealer on. But you look ravishing. You're glowy, dewy. It looks like your hair is blow dried.
I blow dried it last night. Well, I got home basically with sand in my hair. Should we tell people about our trip?
Yeah, let's talk about it.
Okay, let's talk about it. But first, before we go there, it's not inappropriate to record in a bathrobe, right? Or is it?
I mean, it's definitely an HR violation of some sort. Do you have anything on underneath? Actually, I already know the answer to that question. You don't. You're actually naked underneath that.
No, I have a bra on underneath because this has
but no underwear
fabric. I have underwear on.
Okay, as long as you've got a bra and underwear on, that makes me feel a lot better. I thought you were potentially doing this like full commando except for the robe, and I was just like, this woman lives life on the edge. She doesn't give a flying fuck. Anything could happen, something could go wrong, and she would be naked on air, and it's great. It's great.
Mm-hmm. No, I have undergarments on. I just couldn't be bothered to put on an outfit, and also I'm more covered than normal right now. Like usually I have a tank top on.
That's actually true. That's honestly true, and I'm okay with seeing less skin, especially after spending the last 5 days on a beach with you. I've seen plenty of skin from you. I think I could take a heavy breather. So thank you for covering up for today's show.
I do what I can. Charity work comes in all forms. So Chandler and I just got back from Guana Island, which is why this episode is being posted late. Thank you all so much for your patience as you awaited a new episode from us. I will say, I know it's been very Taylor heavy, and so we're excited to bring you a normal episode, just a smattering of general topics.
Mm-hmm. I'm personally excited to talk about something other than Taylor Swift.
Mm-hmm. Well, and non-Swifties have been having a really hard time. Like it's been the past 2 weeks, I would say, have been fairly traumatic for them as they've had to undergo a news cycle entirely Taylor focused. So the world is rebalancing.
Thoughts and prayers. Mm-hmm. We're happy if any non-Swifties have even stuck around this long.
It's so true. Okay, but let's talk about our trip just really briefly. Let's talk about the serenity, the peace, the beauty that is experienced on Guana Island.
You know, it's so funny because I did feel like beauty, peace, serenity was all experienced. But then I did read this article that we're going to get into that's all about like how to plan vacations for billionaires. And I had a little bit of a reality check with what I thought was a wonderful luxury vacation for the two of us.
Right.
We're going to get into that.
Nothing will make you feel more poor and middle class and basic than reading this article.
Yes.
It's like you felt like you've just had this luxury experience and then you were reminded about actually how little money you have.
Yes. No, literally, I've never felt more broke. Which is probably a good thing for me. I spent a lot of money last month, but we had a great vacation.
Reality checks are stunning.
Yeah. So basically, before a reality check, Lauren and I, we were on Guana Island, which is where we went last year to celebrate 3 million downloads. It's a special place for Lauren and I. You know, it's where we can truly rest. It's gorgeous. You know, there's beautiful white sand beaches. There's like lush jungle. It's wonderful.
The thing about it that I love is it's kind of like feeling as if you have a gorgeous home on a private island.
Yes.
You can just make your own drinks. It's pristine, perfect white sand, turquoise clear water, gorgeous jungle. Like it's so, you just feel like you're so in nature. Mm-hmm. It is not pampered St. Bart's service feeling. It is not Michelin star food. It's really just a place, I think, to decompress and relax. Yeah. If you're a person who enjoys stillness and a fresh pina colada, if you need more over the top stuff, it might not be the place for you. But Chandler and I are very understated, humble women. So for us, it was perfect.
It was absolutely perfect. We had our partners join us, after day
Yes.
2. And I think what's funny is that, so Lauren and I were there for the first 2 nights, just us.
Mm-hmm.
And then Ben and Kagan joined us for the last 3 nights, right? Was that how it worked?
Mm-hmm. Yes, that's how it worked.
But before this, Lauren and I had a conversation about them potentially joining. And Lauren and I were worried. Lauren was actually more worried that she didn't want them to join too soon because she wanted to have special sister time, just the two of us.
I
and
did.
let's just say that we ran out of stuff to talk about together, just the two of us, by about hour 8. I had brought some team building exercises, some things to get into, and we had literally cleared my to-do list. We talked about everything from here to there, childhood, future, everything, by literally like mid-afternoon the following day.
Yeah, it was so funny. Like, them coming was actually a blessed relief.
It was a blessing
to have some like diversion, some extra voices. I mean, we just already talked to each other for hours every day already. And so like there's only so much debriefing we can do on the podcast and strategizing before it's like, I guess I'm seeing your face again at this meal.
And the other funny thing is that you can either sit privately or you can choose to sit with other people. And so the first time we were like, let's just sit together. And so they put us just together. And then we kind of assumed that the following nights we would be by default sat with other people, but then they just kept seating us alone. And so it was privately. Like, just us again together, another meal, just the two of us.
I mean, yeah. Now that we're getting into the weeds of it, though, I kind of feel like that's a little bit of the fun of Guana is getting those communal experiences, because then you can kind of, once you're done with those meals, go gossip together about the people you just had dinner with.
Yes.
And the funny things they said or whatever. But we got none of that, basically. So it was just a lot of us. So it was hilarious. Also, don't you feel like, though, that's kind of common in relationships too? Like, I sit down to dinner with Kagan all the time and I'm just like, what are we going to talk about that we have not already talked to death?
Literally, I mean, I'm now at a point with conversing with Ben where I just finish conversations that I'm having in my head out loud to him. And I just start halfway through. He's like, what are you even saying? And I'm just like, I'm basically just like stream of boring consciousness with him. And we've completely run out of things to talk about. So, cheers. Can't wait to get married.
Cheers to that. Anything else we need to debrief on this trip other than it did end up, I feel like we've kind of given it a bad rap. It ended up being so fun.
Oh, nothing was bad about it. I think it was just funny that we were like, well, we have enough sister time. And then we were like so happy that the boys were joining us. It was a fantastic trip. I feel like so rested. I still feel a little bit hungover, frankly. And after yesterday's travel day, I felt so grubby. It was like I was on The Amazing Race or something. I'm very happy to be home, but it was the perfect amount of time. I got a gorgeous tan. I feel like you and I got to reconnect with each other, with our partners. And I feel like it was so fun to double with you and Kagan, which is something we've never really done before on a trip.
It was so fun to have just this little quattro, the boys together, us. We really connected. And I feel like there's going to be a lot of those experiences in the future. So I'm excited to know that it won't be boring as hell.
I think we should mention, I completely agree. It won't be boring as hell. Anyway, we had a gorgeous trip. We love each other very much. We love vacationing together. We're going to continue doing this podcast together and vacationing on beaches for the rest of our life, hopefully.
It's absolutely correct. I want to talk about, Chandler, something that has gone on recently. Moving on from that, we need to get to celebrities, but I do need to just update everyone on a little drama that's been happening, okay?
Okay. Please update us.
We were shit-talked on someone's podcast. We're not going to say the name. We're not going to say the name. We don't want to give, they would love that. So we're not going to say the name. But at first I wasn't even going to listen. I ended up listening this morning. And I do actually want to chat with you about it because I think it was pretty funny. So we are going to talk about that on Patreon tomorrow. So we got a ton of DMs. People were like, I can't believe, that they're talking about you. Like, can't believe anyone even knows who you are. We can't believe it either. But anyway, I finally listened and I actually really want to debrief with you about it. But we're going to save it for the subscriber bonus episode tomorrow. Just, why it's better to have that conversation with fewer ears, I think.
Yes, I need to listen. I haven't listened to it, or I need you to at least, give me the retelling. But, I
can
just
debrief for you.
The more people that hate us, the more we've made it.
Oh, I completely agree with you. I mean, to be honest, I'm just shocked any of these people actually know who we are. Like we were also mentioned on another very popular podcast by two hosts I actually adore. And anyway, it was cute even hearing that they knew who we were because I am fans of them.
Totally. But,
okay. Moving on though.
We'll get into unpacking the shit talking about us on tomorrow's Patreon. Look forward to that, everybody.
Get excited. Okay. So what should we get into first? Because there is a pretty big smattering of topics today.
I know. I think the most exciting thing, the thing that I am really excited to talk about is the how to plan vacations for billionaires. But I don't know if that would be just too much back-to-back vacation talk. So we can maybe get into a celebrity topic and then go to that or something.
So I agree. Let's maybe save that for a little bit further in the episode. There's the drama with Sophia Bush and her new partner, whose name Ashlyn Harris was escaping me for a second, the U.S. soccer player. I don't follow soccer, so I had to learn all about this woman this morning as I was prepping for today's episode. Should we get into that?
Yeah. So did you ever watch One Tree Hill with Sophia Bush?
I don't know if I'm too old or too young for One Tree Hill, but I think I'm too old.
Okay. Yeah. I think it was like, you might be a little too old for it. And
were you into it?
I don't think I was like allowed to watch it or felt like, I don't know. I watched the full season like when I was in college, the full like show. So anyway, but I do remember thinking that Sophia Bush was just like so gorgeous. I always loved her, like has such a beautiful face and like her short hair. Anyway, I've just always loved her.
And she still is to this day.
Her voice is so cute. Yeah. Yeah.
A very alluring person, I will say. I watched the video. I think she's gorgeous.
Sexy, too. I'd like give her strong, sexy energy.
Let's just talk about how hot Sophia Bush is and conclude this segment because it is getting us into
really else to say?
A little bit of choppy waters. Okay, so beyond her being super beautiful, there is a new cover story in Glamour Magazine, okay? The title of which is I Finally Feel Like I Can Breathe is the title, okay? So here's a quick summary for people. In 2023, actor Sophia Bush made headlines when she filed for divorce 1 year after a storybook wedding. By the fall, it was public knowledge that she was in a new relationship with a woman. The internet seemed to be foaming at the mouth for a scandal, but to those who knew her, it was clear she'd never been more herself. Here, in her own words, Bush speaks to the power of finally learning to listen to her intuition. So basically, in this article, Sophia talks about her experience realizing that her marriage, she needed to get a divorce essentially. And then she discusses her relationship with the former U.S. soccer player, Ashlyn Harris. So what's controversial about this relationship is not just the fact that she kind of had this amazing wedding and then a year later is divorced and with a woman, which is, nothing controversial there, but just I think maybe surprising.
A little drama. Yeah.
Little drama. But it's, so basically, do you know about Ashlyn Harris and her ex-wife?
I don't.
Okay.
I also don't follow soccer.
I learned about these people this morning. So forgive me if I get any of this wrong, but basically this is the timeline, Chandler. And this is what actually is really sad and interesting about it.
Okay.
So Ashlyn Harris was married to the soccer star Ali Krieger. She was with her for 13 years and they were married for 4 years. They adopted 2 children, one in 2021 and one in 2022.
Okay.
So
back to back.
This is a family.
Right. And now it's 2024. So this was like, this is a very new situation, new kids.
Yeah, it's basically been 2024 also for like a quarter. So this is a fresh situation. And I kind of, sometimes when I hear about like divorces and people leaving each other, when it's just adults to me, I'm just like, whatever. Like, yeah, it's a bummer, but I don't know. Maybe I'm just the jaded daughter of a divorce attorney, but I just kind of feel like, people betray each other and they're, and that's this happens. But I think what adds some complication to the story is they had just adopted 2 children together. And also, even though Sophia and Ashlyn maintain that there was no overlap, there was no cheating involved, Ali posted on Instagram and basically like refutes that.
Really?
And yes. Okay. So I'm going to kind of lead people through the timeline and then that'll end in this Instagram post.
Okay.
So in June 19th, 2023, Sophia and Ashlyn, essentially what people think is that they hooked up or the sparks flew at the Cannes International Festival of Creativity. This is when people saw them together. They were also pictured at an event together a couple weeks later in early July. And then 3 weeks later, they're pictured again at another party together.
Okay.
Sophia at this time was still married to her husband, but August 4th, so 2 months after that Cannes meeting, Sophia files for divorce from Grant Hughes after being married for 13 months. And then on October 11th, so just 2 months after that, Ashlyn and Ali Krieger filed for divorce after 4 years of marriage and, 2 years after adopting 2 children. So what's interesting about the article is Sophia says, like, I have nothing to apologize for. And she has this quote, and I'm going to kind of pull it up because I think that it brings to bear the quote, "The lady doth protest too much," I think, because This is what she says. She says, "I don't believe it's my place to discuss details of Ashlyn's circumstances or her children, but I will say that I'm absolutely in awe of her relentless integrity. The way she prioritizes and centers her kids, not only in her life, but in the core of her being, is breathtaking to behold." Here's what's weird about it. It's like this whole article is written by her, and it's like this therapy speak, like a virtue signaling, like eat, pray, love. We did nothing wrong. And then I think it's so interesting to use the phrase relentless integrity and talk like what does that mean?
This is where Glennon Doyle loses me, because it's just I'm sorry. I don't think leaving your partner in pursuit of your truth, whatever that may be, however valid that may be, means that you have relentless integrity. I think that's just a different set of words. It was what you would use. And I'm not saying that the set of words would be necessarily super negative or negative. It's just let's just save integrity for people winning the Nobel Peace Prize.
I completely agree. I also just think that this is where I think that her publicist needs to give her the lesson of it's time to say less. This whole situation looks really bad from the surface.
Yes.
From people looking in. This is not a time to write a virtue signaling article for Glamour Magazine. Okay, so, oh my gosh, it's so wild. So then if we go back to the timeline though, on October 19th, 2 months after they file for divorce, Ali Krieger posts a picture of her and she's playing soccer, and the caption is "Preparing for playoffs while in my Beyonce Lemonade era." Okay. So I think that fully basically says I was cheated on.
Right,
that's what the entire album of Lemonade is about. So Ali has basically gone on the record alleging that this was a full affair. And the other interesting thing is that her brother commented something, and shoot, I don't have it easily pulled up. I wish I did. Oh, wait. No, I don't. Anyway, her brother commented something, basically quoting another part of the album and being kind of reaffirming the narrative that she was cheated on.
Wow.
And so I know. So what's interesting to me about this too is Sophia Bush, this is not the first time she's kind of written a virtue signaling article.
Okay.
The last time, Chandler, was she wrote an article called "Why the Rights to an Abortion Matters for Every Person." Okay. So it was an article after Roe v. Wade was overturned.
Okay.
And it was all about, how terrible that was for women. This is what's so crazy though. The centerpiece of that story is how abortion has impacted her and her ex-husband's life at the time he was her husband. So let's just listen to this. She says, "This moment is nothing short of a national emergency, but these days it also feels incredibly personal because I type this as I look across the kitchen at my husband, a man with whom I am deeply in love, and a man who might never have come into my life nor me into his had it not been for an abortion. Not my experience. I have never had an abortion, but his. An abortion that he and a former partner had is what got us here."
What?
Literally,
why are
she
wrote an article. Where did she say that? Who even ran that?
Glamour. This was in 2022. She literally wrote an article about another woman's trauma.
What the actual fuck, Glamour Magazine? It's if my boyfriend and his ex-girlfriend didn't have an abortion, then I would have never met him. And how terrible would that be for my life? This is a crisis because women need to meet their partners. And it's just, wait, I am shocked.
I know, and people online are just Sophia Bush is so annoying. The idea that she has now written a new Glamour Magazine virtue signaling think piece journal entry to try to make herself look good in the wake of, most likely home wrecking this family after she did the abortion piece about another woman's abortion, also making it clear she has never had one.
Right.
That for me didn't belong in there.
Well, no, absolutely. That was there was virtue signaling in the I've never even had one.
To me, it's okay, I want to give people the benefit of the doubt, but this just seems so odious to me.
It's super odious.
Yes.
I actually place more blame on Glamour here because I just think that it undermines them as a publication to think that this is who they chose as a source, or they chose to run this story with someone who's just like, I'm sorry, like she has a right to speak about abortion, like as every person does, but she's not the voice I want to hear from the most, period, full stop.
It's also the strangest story to use as a way to be the spokeswoman about abortion, because honestly, like, that probably is a lot of women's story. Like, they had a partner who had one partner who, you know, got an abort. Like, that probably has happened a lot. So it's weird to be like, this very unique experience is something that I'm going to write an article about.
I also just think it's like, it's an interesting argument to choose. Like, if him and his partner had gone through with the pregnancy and he'd become a dad to that kid, like, he never would have met me. Like, that just feels so bizarre to like choose as the way into like abortion rights.
It's a reach to virtue signal.
Yes,
and
totally.
And people say like she's just addicted to being like attached to social justice causes. I think it's like, she kind of says in this article, like, I didn't really want to write this, but it's so important to champion for LGBTQ and all of that, given what we face in, you know, current legislation or whatever. And people are like, she's just like addicted to being associated with this stuff. And that's why she's going on the record about it.
Oh my gosh. Her journey to coming out as, I don't know if she's like what she identifies as is real. But I just think that the way that she chooses to like paint it as this, like, I don't even know how to explain this, because I just think it's crazy to me. It's just so crazy.
No, anyway. It's so crazy. And it's also kind of cruel, I would say. There's a clip that has resurfaced of Ashlyn and Allie, and it was like them being interviewed. And it came up what Allie's worst fear is. And Ashlyn's like, that I'll leave you. And she was like, yeah, that I'll die alone. And it's just really obviously terribly sad. The other part of it, Chandler, okay, listen to this. This is what someone commented. They said, Ashlyn's ex-wife is Allie Krieger, who's a retired women's soccer player and very beloved in the U.S. women's soccer world. I should add that Ashlyn and/or Sophia allegedly leaked the news of the divorce to People magazine the same week that Allie, the ex, was preparing for a championship soccer game. Allie had announced her retirement earlier in the season, so it was set to be her last soccer match of her professional career. Not only was it incredibly distracting emotionally and professionally, but it took focus away from Allie's big moment. Seemed like a cheap ply for more attention on Ashlyn's part.
Wow.
How crazy is that?
That's crazy. And also, we haven't even talked about the kids. I don't know how old those kids were when they were adopted, but that's just like, I don't know. I hope that they're doing everything to like maintain normalcy for their children, because honestly, it sounds like it's very messy, and that's really sad.
Yeah. It's messy, and like that's why I said, like, when adults do this with each other and no kids are involved, I'm just like, whatever, in my head. Obviously, it's hurts like hell for the person experiencing it. It's very real. But for me, it's such a more severe thing when you've like decided to be parents of children.
Yes, and nonetheless, parents of children who are adopted, I don't know the background of those, but those children need like stability and unconditional love and stability once again. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. The other interesting thing about it,
it's very reckless. And I do think it's reckless.
It's super reckless. I also think though that like Sophia Bush, like she talks about how in the article, she's like talking about how her husband posted for their anniversary and how she felt all this pressure mounting to post. People are asking like, where's your anniversary post? Where's your anniversary post? And how she finally posted, but it was like all a lie. And I'm just like, and she talks about how like you have to post for your anniversary essentially, or, you know, everyone will know. And I'm just like, no, you don't.
No, you
like
don't.
Not everyone posts for every birthday, every anniversary.
No.
That's not true at all. But second of all, like in her last Glamour article, when she was talking about the other woman's abortion, she was talking about how much she loved her husband. I'm looking across the table at the man who is the love of my life. And then in this new article, she's like, that wasn't true at all, essentially. So it's like, okay, you just sound like a liar anyway.
Right. It's just like whatever fits your narrative more at the time.
Yeah. And like, I don't want to be a hater podcast at all, but I kind of am with the people that are rolling their eyes at this. So anyway, that's my take.
It all came crashing down for me with the abortion think piece. That to me, I like
crazy.
Yeah. Like before, it's just like, this is a sad situation for everyone involved. But yeah, then with that, I'm like, oh, I don't like this character very much.
Right. Yeah, no, exactly. I think that revealed somewhat of a weird pattern.
All right, Lauren. Well, let's move on to a couple who, you know, is so far going the distance. And this is WWE's Erika Hammond and the tech billionaire Ankara Jain. I don't know if I'm saying his last name right. But he is the CEO. Like, he used to run product at Tinder, and now he is the CEO of Built. What it's called, Built something. Sorry. Built Rewards. So I don't know. Have you heard of Built Rewards? It's actually very interesting.
I have never heard of Built Rewards.
So it's basically a credit card that you can pay your rent on, so you can earn points like for your rent. Because like a lot of rent, you have to like pay through like cash or like check. And with Built, you can like pay your rent through it, and then you get to like rack up all these rewards. So for someone like me who spends an awful lot of money a year in rent, Built Rewards is something we're looking into.
I just want to say thank you so much to Ankara Jain and Erika Hammond for sponsoring today's episode. We're super excited to talk about their wedding as well, and Built Rewards and how it can, earn you the miles and the points with money you're already spending. No, I'm just kidding. They're not actually sponsoring this episode. It just started to sound like they were.
Thank you also to our sponsor from Equinox, because Erika Hammond came up with the knockout workout that is featured at Equinox gyms across the U.S.
Perfect.
Anyway, a lot of plugs. But anyway, so these two got married in a very lavish ceremony in Egypt. Did you catch any of the photos? Did you see any of this?
I did. And can I just say, I thought it was so pretty. I loved it.
Yeah, it was really, really beautiful. I mean, the pyramids as a backdrop for your wedding, you can't go wrong. It was just like really spectacular. I also loved the way that they styled the whole wedding. It felt very like interesting, and her dress was really different. It was non-traditional, as they say.
It felt modern and edgy. It just felt like it could have been a Cult Gaia runway show, but it also transformed into a wedding, like a Jacques Muse runway show transformed into a wedding. Like, it was so cool. And at first, when I saw the title, I was like, I think I'm going to come at this. Like, I just assumed I'm going to be like, okay, I'm going to put on my socialist cap and have an eat the rich take, rich people spending too much money again. But then I saw it and I was just like, you know what? I kind of support this. Like, do we need more billionaires like having big Mindy Weiss, Kathy Hilton events in white tents with tons of florals? Like, is that what we need in the world?
It's funny that you say that, Lauren, because they're not traditional wedding people, and they didn't want to spend $20,000 on flowers. The groom even says, why do you have to spend $20,000 on flowers? It doesn't make sense. They wanted to spend their money elsewhere. They planned a pre-wedding safari for guests that was quite expensive. And I hear him. It's like, why do you have to spend $20,000 on flowers when you could spend $100,000 on a pre-wedding safari for all your guests? That doesn't make sense.
Yes, I was trying to tell you, like, why, Chandler, do you need to spend, 10 grand on a bar when you could actually fly your guests to Capri for a week, before your wedding?
Right. Like, let's think outside of the box here.
Maybe we could do a super yacht experience on the Hudson River instead of, a live band. That would be great. Let's think outside the box, Chandler, when it comes to your wedding planning.
It's time. I do think it's funny a little bit, just, the way that the extravagance is splashed out. They have this like little teaser video of their wedding, or just like a snapshot video. And and one of like the key frames is like the guy from Shark Tank. And I don't know his name. It's not Mark Cuban.
It's not Mark Cuban. It's, I forget his name, but is it Kevin? I think it's Kevin something. Okay, keep talking. I'll look it up while you talk.
Look him up. But I just think it's funny because they have this 40-second like snapshots of the wedding, and it's just like set to this amazing music. But then like there's also like a sneaky video of that like A-lister guest. And I just thought like it was a choice to include.
Yeah, Kevin O'Leary.
Yeah, Kevin O'Leary.
Honestly, if Kevin O'Leary was at my wedding, like the first photo on my Instagram would have just been of him.
It's like, hey, let's make sure that we get a lot of BTS of Kevin O'Leary to like the videographer.
I had a photo on my Instagram of like the wedding guests, and my caption was, "Thank God our friends are so hot," or something like that. And I just wish it could have been, "Thank God our friends are so famous," but I don't know anyone famous.
Totally. Yeah. I know. It
was my cross to bear. So I'm happy for these billionaires.
Thank God our friends are on Shark Tank. Okay, I will tell you though, their wedding did hit a snag. Do you want to hear the drama?
Okay, I do.
It hit a snag because they did this pre-wedding safari in South Africa, and they were going to fly from South Africa to the like wedding kickoff party or the wedding welcome party.
Okay.
as they were traveling to South Africa, their plane was told like it couldn't land or something. And so they were delayed quite a bit. So like the welcome party started at 8 p.m., right? At first, they were just going to be delayed until 11 p.m. And they didn't actually end up arriving at the welcome party until 2:40 a.m. And so all the guests then had to party until 5 a.m. that night, that morning.
Were the guests already there? Was it just their late arrival?
Yes. I think
the guests were already there.
It was like the wedding part, or like there was already guests there. And so they just like had to like keep the party going until it was like literally the party started at 8 or whatever.
Can I be honest and say that's actually a big hiccup and super probably like sets everything off on the wrong note, because
that's
like
my nightmare.
People need to sleep for the next event.
Literally. It's a marathon. And so, and I think too, this is where, for me, you know, as if I were to be invited to something this lavish, it would be like, yes, I'm so excited. We're going to go. We're going to make this happen. It's going to be the trip of a lifetime, you know, and get to the party. Okay, they're going to be a little bit late. No problem. I can eat and drink until for the next few hours, you know, and then the clock keeps moving. And at some point you're at 1 a.m. and they're not showing up and you're like, I'm fucking tired. I'm jet lagged. I don't care I don't care that these people have invited me. I want to go sleep. It's cold. It's windy. I mean, I don't know.
Well, I also feel like though, like this is when, if you're ever invited on something where like it's a rich person sponsoring you essentially, and you're like there to be the entertainment and the amusement, I feel like it becomes low key a little bit like work, right? Like you have, to be on. Like you're not just there to enjoy because like you've also paid for this experience and enjoy it on your own terms. It's like you're there to also make sure they have a good time. And so I kind of feel like that's when suddenly like it's like the clock strikes 1 and then 2 a.m. and it's like, all right, we all actually have to put on our red clown noses because we got to now pay for the safari we just had.
I can literally hear the DJ being like, all right, we just got word. They're going to be here in an hour and a half. All right. They're going to be here in 10 minutes, everybody. Let's give them the biggest welcome. Like, and everyone's just like gearing up. And then like 8 p.m. to 5 a.m. Maybe they were on drugs. But anyway, the wedding looked beautiful.
I have a little note on this because I looked at her TikTok. I didn't know about any of these people before this morning as well, but I looked on her TikTok and I saw her bachelorette presents. Okay. And this is another time when I was like, I really like this girl. I support her and her wealth and her accomplishments. I wasn't trying to tear her down,
what were they?
Which shocked me. She did St. Bart's, of course. And she had like a really thoughtful, I thought, a bachelorette gift. It was like a Dagny Dover carry-on. And then inside of it was just like really nice stuff you would need. Like a really good luxury neck pillow, like a really good eye mask,
Love
like really nice pajamas, like a workout set, a bikini, like stuff that you would actually use. And I just felt like I like this girl. And also, by the way, the branding was super cute and personal, but it wasn't so personalized that it was like, these are pink slides with the bride's initials I'm never going to wear again. It just felt like well done. Like she had them in mind. And I just felt like I feel like people use bachelorette gifts, like super rich people, to flex. Like it'll be like, here's your Louis Vuitton coin purse and your Cartier passport holder. And just like, I got you all the cheapest stuff from like, so I could have as many labels as possible in a basket of crap you'll never use. And so anyway, I just appreciated her sensibilities.
That reminds me of like Mary Cosby's brunch at Volters when she got all the women, like, what did she get them from Louis Vuitton or something? It was like a pen or something.
Was it like a Baccarat pen, a Baccarat like crystal or something?
I don't know. It was something where it was like, clearly this was like in the under $250 guest or under $250 like gift guide. Wait, it's funny that you bring this up because I saw this post on Reddit about bachelor parties. Okay.
Yeah.
And I think it might be interesting to discuss. Are you down for it?
Yes. Well, I have more to say though on this before we.
Oh, you do? Okay, please. Yeah.
Well, I just think it'd be funny if we tell the story of your tennis bracelet for any new listeners. This is a very brief story, but basically, when I was planning my wedding, I asked Chandler for her wrist measurements, and I was like, I want to do a gold bangle for all of my bridesmaids.
Oh my gosh! Yes.
And she was like, oh, that's really nice. Because this is when I was like, I think at my jewelry passion fever pitch. So anyway, I was like, I want to do a big solid gold bangle, like a love bracelet for everyone. And I was like, I think I can get it made and it won't be that expensive. Obviously, wouldn't be a love bracelet.
Like a knockoff love bracelet.
Whatever like a knockoff love bracelet, what everyone wants. Exactly. And then I was like, Chandler, it's going to be so cool. I'm going to have our wedding date engraved on it, on the bangle. And I said this to Chandler with a straight face.
You texted it.
She was like, maybe I texted you. That's right.
I wish anyway, find the text messages because I think I was like so fun. Amazing. In my head, I was like, I hope it's on the inside. Well,
who wants a gold bangle with someone else's wedding date on it? Regardless,
nobody.
Even if it's on the inside, even if it's on the inside, it makes it kind of creepy.
It's so weird. But this was peak like me, just like, yes, smile, manning. Laugh along, everything's great. Yeah. No.
So I told her I was gonna have Sarah from Casita Jewelry make it, my friend. Anyway, she has access to obviously to like jewelers and people that can make that stuff. And it was so funny because I was actually just asking your wrist measurements because I was getting you a tennis bracelet, and that was like the big joke. And so for months, Chandler thought I was going to have custom engraved bangles for all my bridesmaids.
And honestly, I was excited to wear mine. 12/2/2022. I don't remember. What was your wedding date actually?
12/2/22.
Oh my gosh! Well, mine will be 5/2/2025. We're both gonna have twos.
That's cool.
That's so cute.
I love that.
Aww.
There's something special there for sure. And honestly, I hope I get a gold bangle where I can look down at 5/2/25 for the rest of my days.
I know you want that. I know you literally do.
Oh my god!
Wow. No, I was excited for my bangle at that time. I was excited for whatever was going to make you happy. Gun to my head, I was like, I can't wait for the bangle. I'll wear it every day, I promise.
Can't wait for this to fucking be over.
No, and then I was lavishly rewarded because Lauren surprised me with the most gorgeous tennis bracelet ever.
Thank you.
Basically, my first piece of fine jewelry.
Yeah, I do what I can. I gave you a taste of something you liked because you sure have gone down the rabbit hole.
I really have, and I earned every fucking carat of that. So
that is very true. Okay, anyway. But do we want to get into the Reddit on bachelorettes, or do we want to?
I think we can bring it to Patreon or something.
So moving on from that gorgeous gift I gave you, we want to do a 2-minute debrief on Taylor and Travis at the charity event and talk about a personal revelation we had about them. For non-Swifties, you can just hit the forward 30-second button 4 times and we'll be done. It'll be over.
We'll be done.
The TLDR is that we saw the cute nuzzly kisses at the charity event. Mm-hmm. We saw Travis doing the Viva Las Vegas thing and Taylor mouthing, I can't, jokingly.
Right.
And I think, Jenna, we realized something. I'll let you share it with our audience.
I had personal revelation while on Guana Island that I shared with Lauren and she completely concurred. Mm-hmm. After digesting this footage, the new footage of Taylor and Travis, what came to me, what I shared with Lauren, is that I think that in comparison to all of the men that Taylor Swift has dated, the partners that she's had, Travis to me is the best person to procreate with. He is the best person for her to build a family with compared to Joe and, kind of his struggles. I don't even want to entertain the idea of her having a child with Maddie Healy, like a drug addict, recovered. But, anyway, he's got his own real, like if we thought Joe had problems, like Maddie's got his own real set of issues. So when I see her and Travis together and I just think about maybe her thinking about her life, I just really was like overcome with this feeling of like them being endgame together, like them really being it for each other, especially just because like Travis is just going to make such a great dad. He has his brother's family. He's like very family oriented, clearly. And I'm sure she's just like excited about the prospect of that with him. I don't know. Is this a trad wife take?
No, I think that he really seems like she'll have the most uncomplicated, happy life with him of anyone she's been with. It seems like he's the perfect guy to be that great, jovial, happy dad and husband.
Like, I see Travis throwing the kids in the pool. I don't see Joe throwing the kids in the pool. I don't see Maddie throwing the kids in the pool. Who do you see throwing the kids in the pool, everybody?
You see Travis out in the backyard playing t-ball with the kids. You see him throwing corn on the barbecue for the friend's party, not reading poetry in the corner with
stewing somewhere,
a tear running down his cheek. Anyway,
not shooting up.
Not shooting up in the corner.
I need to not make light of drug addiction. It is very sad. It is very sad.
So anyway, TLDR, we fully ship them. We have decided now that we are going to change our tone and fully get on board with Taylor and Travis. It's kind of like the girlfriend who you weren't for sure about their new boyfriend, but all of a sudden you've fallen in love and you want to be in full support because you think this is her life partner.
Yes. Yeah, 100%. And that's where we are at right now. We're going to try to hold on to this.
We're going to try to
hold on. And I do think seeing her be like, I can't. She's in on the joke, everybody. He's a little cringe, but she kind of loves it. And it's like, she doesn't bother her that deeply. She's so happy and so secure. Doesn't bother her.
Beep, 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 beep.
Yeah,
our timer's up. We got
timer's up. Let's go.
Okay.
All right.
Okay. Because we could have gone on for...
We could have gone on and on. Viva Las Vegas. Anyway.
Oh, my gosh. Okay.
And we probably just would have repeated what we had said in the first 2 minutes. Just like the same thing 1,000 times over. Woo! Okay. Woo! We really need that timer. All right. Okay. So let's talk about this article about planning vacations for billionaires, which obviously, after reading, I felt very humbled by. I didn't even know that this service existed. I mean, I knew it kind of existed, but I didn't really know, all the ins and outs. So it was fascinating to get that, from this article. So it's all about this, members only travel agency called Sienna Charles, run by Jacqueline Sienna India. And it's, she's been running this travel agency for the past 16 years, really only serving the ultra, ultra wealthy.
We found this article to be riveting for us. And I think that it's kind of like Cribs or Lifestyles of the Rich and the Famous, on MTV. It's just fun to get a peek in the world of, worlds of people completely unlike us.
Right.
And really how the ultra rich operate, and hearing about the way that their lives are different from us peasants. That's fun to hear about for me.
One of the first questions that this person is asked is, can you describe your average client? And I found this part to be interesting because she says that historically most of her clients were 55 to 75, finance based in New York. But now they've gotten more younger people who are in tech, in the 40 to 50-year-old range. I think it's interesting kind of seeing that shift. I think she even at one point says most of them are people who are post IPO. And I actually would like to incorporate, the post IPO more into my daily repertoire. I don't know about you. Oh, I'm post IPO.
Well, you would need to have an IPO to be post IPO. So that's going to be the first step to be able to say that.
If I have stock, could I also be technically post IPO?
No, I think
no.
Post IPO is if you own a company and it goes public. So that's, and you have this really crazy exit or whatever it is. I feel like what I found to be interesting from this article was just the way that once you... I think there's just such a freedom that comes, right? Having more money, it seems like that's just something that just gives you way more choices and way more freedom. And when most of us are trying to solve for your first problems are shelter, and when you're older, water, food, just kind of keeping the lights on. And then once you've solved for those problems and you're saving towards your future and all of that, you start solving for other Maslow's hierarchy of needs or whatever. Suddenly you start wanting recreation and diverse recreation and nicer recreation.
Right.
And then I think that once you have all of that solved and you can kind of do whatever you want, it's interesting to hear about how these people really live lives that are so spontaneous and they really kind of just do whatever they want at any given moment. And that's kind of one of the things that she talks about as a challenge. They might have said, oh, we want to go skiing in Aspen or skiing in Switzerland in a couple weeks. And they might plan this gorgeous trip for them with, specialized restaurants with a chef and all this stuff. And then the day before they might be like, oh, the weather's really good in LA. I think, we're going to stay here. And I think that there's just a level of you have so much money that you just get to do whatever you want all the time. And it doesn't matter how many people have been thinking about and planning for your next move. If you decide, like she said, like we'll make a Carbone reservation, it'll be hard to get, we'll get it for them. And if you decide last minute that pasta sounds too heavy, you know, they have to figure out a lighter dinner, beautiful dinner option on a dime.
Mm-hmm.
It's just an existence with almost zero friction, right?
Right. Well, that's what, yeah, no, I found that part to be one of the most fascinating bits because there's just no constraints. Because you're operating at this level, like life just bends to whatever your whims and desires.
Yeah.
Like easily, you know, behind the scenes, not easily. But yeah, that's that like type of just like full freedom to do whatever you want. And a lot of times too, these people don't really live anywhere. Like they're just constantly kind of going from gorgeous experience to gorgeous experience. And it's almost like the way that they travel is so specialized to their needs that it doesn't even feel like, you know, they're
on
like
vacation
home because they have all their creature comforts with them at all times.
Yeah, like they travel with a chef. Like like she was saying, like it's not like everyone wants to just be dining out at Michelin star restaurants all the time.
Right.
Like, when you're constantly on the go, a lot of these people, they really want to keep their routines and their wellness routines. So they'll travel with their personal chef who will, you know, they might go out once in 2 weeks. And yeah, just kind of like interesting stuff like that. Like also how hotels generally aren't good enough for these people. And, you know, you and I have grappled with like, where does Taylor go stay at hotels? I think we figured out in this article, like, really, really the ultra wealthy, they stay at these luxury villas where everything is just even basically better than a hotel.
Right. Well, or they stay on like their travel mode, like that's been personalized. And like we often said that we think Taylor maybe stays on her jet because her jet is so perfect for her and is so like personalized. So, there's a lot of talk about, or there's a moment where she talks about how like a lot of ultra rich prefer to actually stay on a yacht versus a hotel or even a villa. And she says, quote, I find that many hotels are not conducive to a real ultra high net worth situation. They have that trophy penthouse, the $30,000 a night suite, but there's a lot of heavy lifting to get things the way that the client is used to. I'm thinking like, you know, certain types of beds or sheets or, you know, just like all of like the little things, you know, that they want to be their own pick. She goes on to say people want a certain type of water or certain foods or a bedroom that is dark and has 7 beds for their dog. When we have to train the hotel staff to do all that for 3 days, it's inefficient. And by the time the staff is trained, then the client is leaving and you're starting over. So it's like, that's why you just stay on the yacht.
Yeah, or it seems like there are, she said, these villas that billionaires have built and have these incredible staff at, and they're used to, like, they're not just the hotel butler. It's like, no, it's like a staff of 20 that are used to catering to 2 to 5 people who are the clients or whatever. Yeah, it's interesting. I saw some comments that were like very negative, that were like, you know, how removed from the real world, like what a shallow existence to need everything to be such a specific way, how vapid and how like ungrounded essentially. I'm curious, like if that was a takeaway of yours, like how you felt about it.
I actually just found it to be like pure entertainment. I think I wrote, this is my catnip. Because it's just like interesting for me to like think about and talk about because it feels so far away from my like existence or even anybody I know, you know. It's like we're literally talking about like Lauren Sanchez, Jeff Bezos is like this is how they operate. Like they're so far removed from any rich person that I know. So yeah, it doesn't trigger me, I guess.
It doesn't trigger me either. And I kind of feel like, you know what? It's not like these people are forced to get them the 73-degree Evian water in the crystal glass by the bed. It's not like these are people that are forced to do that work. It's like these are people who actually have signed up to do that work for compensation, and they are given a job by this very wealthy person. A lot of times, like when you're working for the ultra high net worth, sometimes those jobs can be very cushy because there's less of a worry about money going so far. And it's like, you know, with every employee or whatever. And so I personally feel like these people, whatever, they're spending their money. Other people are feeding their families with these jobs, and let them like fly private with their personal chef. Of course, like there's an environmental concern, obviously, but that's above my pay grade. And I don't know. Let these people just enjoy their things as they wish.
To me, it's like watching, you know, a show about mega yachts or something like on Netflix. Like it's just interesting to like take a peek into the day-to-day or the logistics. Yeah, it's not I don't know. I don't go to like a, burn the rich or whatever type of mentality.
Yeah.
I think too, like where I was humbled was where she said that a lot of people from New York want to go to the Caribbean. And in her opinion, there's just not a perfect product there or not a perfect place there. Were you so humbled by that?
First of all, I felt like I was attacked in this article.
Yes. Like 12 hours after leaving what we thought was a perfect Caribbean vacation.
Personally attacked because she's like, there's no perfect product in the Caribbean. First of all, I will say the island of St. Bart's should be like suing this woman for that
literally
comment.
She says the service isn't good.
No, the service is so good. I mean, I would agree with her other than St. Bart's. There's no perfect product in the Caribbean. I actually, not that I've been everywhere, but from where I've been, I would kind of agree. But I can't afford a perfect product anyway, so I'm not super concerned about it.
Right.
But yeah, it was interesting. I felt attacked because I'm going to Capri this summer. First time on the Amalfi Coast. I'm so excited.
Yes.
I'm so excited. And then she says in the article, she's like, yeah, it's out to go to Capri. The new thing is to go to like an off the beaten path island off of Sicily
Sardinia.
or whatever. And I'm just like,
Sardinia.
Yeah.
Sardinia,
like,
excuse
okay,
me.
Well,
Sardinia. I'm such a plebe.
Yeah. Sardinia.
Sardinia. You got to go to Sardinia, Lauren.
Anyway, I definitely felt personally attacked. So I'm going to feel, very basic on my vacation to Capri this summer. So embarrassing.
I will say there was one part of the article that strained my credulity, as we say, where she says, okay, clients can contact our company anytime through text, WhatsApp, or email, and we become their go-to for anything luxury or luxury lifestyle related. There's no rules other than everything needs to be right now. We acknowledge all emails within 5 minutes, and all our clients are really nice. We don't take on any jerks because the amount of work and handholding that goes into the back end is really full on. Which I'm like, I'm sorry, I don't buy that every single person just like is super, super nice and, accommodating. Like, I think I kind of rolled my eyes at that.
I think that for her, what she means is like someone who's going to abuse the system and abuse their employees and be outwardly horrible. I'm sure these are very demanding people, but who like hopefully, I think she just means they're at least polite most of the time.
Yeah.
That's like the standard, I'm sure.
Yeah. And
anyway,
she says that they work with like fewer than 100 families in total. So, which sounds like a lot of work, but it's not as many as I thought.
It's a fun article if you want to feel poor. And if you want to feel like all your vacations are not perfect products.
Yes, 100%.
Chandler, it's been a pleasure being regathered here with you today. We'll be back on Patreon tomorrow with a whole new fresh batch of topics.
Cannot wait. Thank you, everyone, for bearing with us as this episode comes out a little bit later. Appreciate it.
Can't wait to get into the little drama. It's going to be fun.
Yes. Okay. See you on Patreon.
Guys. Bye.
Bye.